Chapter 37. The next day after breakfast, Wednesday and Pugsley had dragged Tyler along to the nearby town of Westfield for Christmas shopping. The drive out of the estate felt like a departure from the mundane world Tyler had known. The trees, heavy with snow, bent beneath the weight of the cold, and the town itself looked like something out of a storybook, a little too dark, a little too old, with buildings that seemed to lean on one another as though they were part of some strange, unwritten history. Tyler couldn't help but feel the eerie weight of the town settle around him. There were no new buildings, just old, crumbling structures that seemed stuck in time. He glanced out the window, taking in the empty, snow-covered fields. The air was thick with an ancient energy, the kind that could only exist in a place like this, forgotten, yet somehow still alive. As they entered the town, Tyler's eyes widened. The shops were unlike anything he'd ever seen. The first one they passed was a voodoo shop, its windows covered with strange symbols and trinkets that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Next, they passed a fortune-teller's shop, its neon sign flickering with an eerie glow, promising glimpses into the future, or perhaps something more unsettling. And at the end of the street, there was an apothecary shop with shelves full of jars, bottles, and herbs that Tyler could only assume had mysterious, otherworldly properties. "What is all this?" Tyler muttered, unable to hide his discomfort. "Look at that," Hyde replied, his voice dripping with amusement. "This town thrives on the strange, just like the Addams family." Tyler shuddered, glancing around at the odd shops. "Yeah, I feel like I'm in some twisted version of Jericho, except everything here is real." Hyde's laugh echoed in his mind. "It feels like we just step into a time portal." As they walked further down the street, Tyler noticed something else that caught his attention. The townspeople, who had once seemed so eager to make themselves known, now shrank away at the sight of Wednesday and Pugsley. The bullies, the ones who'd made Jericho a miserable place for Tyler, were nowhere to be found. Instead, they scurried past, eyes wide, avoiding the Addams children as if they knew better than to provoke them. The mean girl squad, who would have normally sneered and made sarcastic comments, practically tiptoed around them, their heads down. "You see that?" Tyler muttered to Hyde, an eyebrow raised. "They're avoiding us." "You're right," Hyde replied, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Do you think Cockroach's family have some sort of hold on this place?" Tyler was still trying to process this shift in reality when Wednesday, seemingly unfazed by the town's reaction, led the way into the first shop, a voodoo store that smelled of incense and something far less pleasant. "You're not buying anything in here," Wednesday stated flatly as Tyler followed her through the door. "I don't want you getting cursed or anything." Tyler glanced at the shelves piled high with strange objects, bones, candles, and jars that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. He took a step back, feeling suddenly uneasy. "I wasn't planning to. This place is intense." "Good call," Hyde muttered. "But I'm sure we could find something interesting here." "A little charm, maybe?" Tyler snorted, rolling his eyes. "Yeah, right. No way. I don't need any charms." Next, they entered the fortune-teller's shop, and Tyler couldn't help but notice the atmosphere shift. The walls were lined with tarot cards, crystal balls, and strange relics. An older woman in a flowing robe sat behind the counter, her eyes narrowing as she took in the newcomers. "Ah, the Addams family," she said, her voice thick with mystery. "What brings you to my shop today?" "I'm just here for Christmas presents," Wednesday said, her voice flat. "I'm trying to find something my family might actually like." The fortune-teller laughed, a soft, knowing sound that made Tyler uneasy. "I'm sure you'll find something fitting." As the trio wandered through the town, stopping in various shops, Tyler couldn't ignore how everyone seemed to treat Wednesday like she was both a force to be reckoned with and someone they didn't want to cross. It wasn't just that they avoided her, they feared her. And somehow, it made him feel safer. "See?" Hyde's voice was full of satisfaction. "They must have influence in this small town." Tyler paused, glancing at Wednesday, who was scanning a shelf of strange relics with a bored expression. He was starting to get it. The Addams family didn't need to blend in. They ruled the weird, and the world around them simply had no choice but to adapt. The soft crunch of snow beneath a girl's bike tires came to a stop just in front of them. She planted a foot down, tilting her head as she gave Tyler a once-over. Wednesday. Parker. Wednesday greeted. Parker greeted Wednesday and Pugsley, her voice laced with mild surprise, before her eyes flicked to Tyler. Let me guess, another one of your cousins? Pugsley let out a bark of laughter before Tyler could answer. Nope. This is Tyler. He's Wednesday's boyfriend. Parker's eyebrows shot up as she processed that information. Boyfriend? A mischievous smirk tugged at her lips before she pulled out her phone, quickly snapping a picture of the two. Tyler barely had time to react before the sound of rapid typing filled the air, followed by the distinct chime of a notification. And then another. And another. Wow, Parker mused, eyes glued to her phone. That didn't take long. Tyler frowned. What do you mean? She turned her screen toward them, showing a flood of notifications rolling in. The town's entire social media network had erupted at the sight of Wednesday Addams, stone-faced as ever, standing next to him. Ravenwood Gossip Forum. Wednesday Addams has a boyfriend? Comments, 273 and rising. At Darkling_Queen, oh no, poor guy. Rip. At Ravenwood Rules, is he still alive? Blink twice if you need help. At Witchy Ways, he actually looks kinda into her. Tyler groaned, running a hand through his hair. Great. Now I'm trending in Creepy Town. Hyde snickered. Oh, come on. It's not that bad. They fear her, but they also love her. You're part of something big, Tyler. Enjoy it. As they stepped into one of the shops, a dark little antique store filled with trinkets that looked like they belonged in a haunted museum, Tyler turned to Parker. All right, I have to ask. Why does it feel like people are avoiding Wednesday? Even more than usual? Parker shot him an incredulous look. What are you talking about? She's an Addams. Tyler narrowed his eyes. Yeah, and? Parker let out a dry chuckle, tossing her phone into her pocket. And that means this town belongs to them. Hyde stilled. Then he burst into laughter, cackling so loudly in Tyler's head that it made him wince. Wait. Wait. What did she just say? The Addams-owned. Tyler choked on air. Hold on. You're telling me they don't just live here? They own the whole town? Parker looked at him like he had just asked if the sky was blue. Yeah? I thought you knew. Hyde practically howled inside Tyler's mind. They act like this much money is normal. I'm so happy. Tyler was still reeling. He had heard of rich families owning businesses, estates, maybe even a couple of properties. But an entire town? What, like, they own a lot of buildings? Tyler asked, grasping for logic. No, Parker said with a smirk. I mean they own the town. The land, the businesses, the property taxes, all of it. The mayor works for them. The police work for them. The economy runs because of them. You're standing in an Addams-owned store right now. Tyler turned to Wednesday, who was calmly inspecting a display of antique daggers, completely unbothered by the conversation. You didn't think to mention this? Wednesday arched a brow. Why would I? It's common knowledge. Tyler ran a hand down his face. For who? Parker snorted. For everyone except you, apparently. Hyde was still losing it. I can't believe this. We hit the jackpot, Tyler. We're dating into a dynasty. Tyler exhaled sharply, trying to wrap his head around the new information. He had known the Addams family was wealthy. But this was insane. Parker smirked. So, have you met the whole family yet? Tyler's stomach twisted at the thought. Yes, but... Wait, when you say they own the town, Do you mean they own it, or is this one of those old family influence situations? Parker smirked. Oh no. Ownership. Land deeds, business contracts, and influence on top of all that. They don't just have money, they have control. She tilted her head. How do you think the townspeople can afford to keep this place stuck in another century? The Addamses like it this way. And what the Addamses want, the Addamses get. Tyler felt his stomach flip. He'd known Wednesday was from an old, eccentric family, but he hadn't grasped the scale of it. He had spent his whole life as a nobody, a pawn in other people's games. Now, he was dating someone whose family made the rules. Hyde sighed dreamily. Tyler. We hit the jackpot. Tyler shot Wednesday a look. And you just don't think this is a big deal? She arched an elegant brow. Would you prefer I flaunt it? You've already been to 2 of our other estates. Yet you're still surprised by this? I mean, a little warning would have been nice. Wednesday studied him for a moment, then took a slow step closer, her voice lowering to something almost teasing. Would that have changed anything? Tyler felt his pulse quicken. Damn it, she was good. Parker cleared her throat, breaking the tension. By the way, Tyler, your face is all over social media now. The town is very curious about you. Tyler blinked. What? She turned her phone toward him, showing a post with the picture she'd taken earlier. The caption read, "The Ice Queen has a king. R.I.P. to everyone who thought they had a chance." The comment section was already blowing up. Hyde burst into laughter. We're famous. Tyler groaned, dragging a hand down his face. Oh, fantastic. Parker grinned. Welcome to the real Addams experience. As the trio made their way back to the Addams mansion, the town's eerie silence settled behind them like a thick fog. The ride was quiet, save for Pugsley munching on some roasted chestnuts he'd grabbed from a street vendor. Tyler, however, was still processing everything, Wednesday's family, the town, and the fact that his face was now plastered all over social media as Wednesday Addams' boyfriend. Hyde was still reveling in it. Tyler, we're not just a footnote in history anymore. We are legendary. A small-town outcast turned Addams' consort? You couldn't write a better script. Tyler ignored him, instead watching the scenery shift as they drove further from town. The snow-covered trees seemed denser, their gnarled branches reaching toward the car as though whispering ancient secrets. The mansion loomed ahead, its gothic silhouette stark against the gray sky, the faint glow of candlelight flickering through its towering windows. Pugsley stretched in the back seat as they pulled up the long, winding driveway. Finally. I need to test my new smoke bombs before dinner. Tyler shot him a look. That's what you're worried about? Of course, Pugsley said, stepping out of the car. Priorities. Hyde snorted. Kid's got his head on straight. As they entered the mansion, the scent of burning wood and something vaguely floral, probably whatever strange concoction Grandmama was brewing, filled the air. The warm glow of the grand chandelier did little to chase away the ever-present sense that the mansion was watching them. Tyler shrugged off his coat, feeling an odd sense of relief to be back within the walls of this strange, unsettling place. He wasn't sure when it had started happening, but somehow, the Addams mansion no longer felt foreign. If anything, it felt familiar. Wednesday gave him a knowing glance, as if she could sense it. Just as Tyler was about to sit down, Morticia and Gomez entered the room, their usual air of dramatic elegance surrounding them. Darlings, Morticia cooed, her dark eyes landing on Tyler. I trust your outing was eventful? Wednesday simply nodded. Pugsley smirked. Oh yeah, the whole town knows about Tyler now. Tyler groaned, rubbing his temples. Thanks for the reminder. Gomez clapped a hand on Tyler's shoulder, grinning. Ah, to be young and infamous. You're truly one of us now, my boy. Tyler wasn't sure if that was comforting or terrifying. Morticia's smile softened. Speaking of family, Tyler, dear, have you given any thought to inviting your father over for Christmas? The question hit him like a cold gust of wind. His father. The image of Sheriff Galpin's disapproving stare flashed in his mind. The way his jaw tensed whenever nevermore, the Addamses, or anything remotely strange was mentioned. Tyler wasn't sure he could picture his father stepping foot in this mansion without having a heart attack. Hyde scoffed. "Oh, I'd love to see that." Imagine his face, Tyler. The sheer horror. Tyler swallowed, shifting uncomfortably. I don't know if that's a good idea." Gomez waved a hand. "Nonsense. Family is family. And the holidays are the perfect time for, how do they say, burying the hatchet. Preferably not literally," Wednesday added dryly. Tyler let out a slow breath. Could he really do that? Invite his father into this world? Into their world? Morticia tilted her head, her voice soothing. "We wouldn't want you to feel torn between your two lives, dear. You are welcome here, but if it would bring you peace to have your father visit, we'd be more than happy to host." Tyler hesitated. Hyde, for once, was quiet. After a long moment, he exhaled. I'll think about it." Gomez beamed. "That's all we ask." Wednesday's gaze lingered on him, unreadable as ever. Tyler wasn't sure what he'd just agreed to, but one thing was certain. If his father did come to the Addams mansion for Christmas, it was going to be anything but a silent night. Tyler lay in his bed, the flickering light from the fireplace casting shadows on the walls, creating a dance of dark shapes that seemed to mock him. His body was still, but his mind raced. Every time he closed his eyes, the image of his father's face, the disappointment, the rejection, came rushing back. He could still remember the chaos of that autumn night at Nevermore Academy, the night when everything had unraveled. The USSPPO agents had come, and his father had stood there, not asking if he was okay, not trying to stop them from detaining him. There had been no effort to protect him. No fatherly instinct. Just cold, indifferent judgment. It hurt more than he cared to admit. The realization that his father had known what he was, that Tyler was just as outcast as his mother, as monstrous as the Hyde, and yet his father still hadn't cared, it was a wound that wouldn't heal. "Why do you keep torturing yourself, Tyler?" Hyde's voice was laced with amusement, as if the situation was just another game to him. "It's not like your father ever saw you as anything more than a failure. A disappointment." Tyler gripped the blankets tighter, as though trying to force the pain down, trying to ignore Hyde's words. He knew his alter ego had a point, but it didn't make it any easier to swallow. The thought of inviting his father into the Addams mansion, into this world, felt like a joke. There was no way his father could accept him. Not with the Hyde lurking inside. "You're just asking for trouble, Tyler. But then again, isn't that what you've always done? Played the hero, trying to make things right when they were never meant to be?" Hyde's voice echoed, sharp and bitter. "Your father will never understand us. Never accept us. Why bother trying?" Tyler's eyes narrowed as he stared at the ceiling, trying to block out the noise. "I don't know, maybe there's something worth fighting for. Maybe I'm tired of running." Meanwhile, on the other side of the door, Wednesday stood frozen, her hand resting on the knob. She had heard the quiet rustle of sheets and the crackling fire from inside Tyler's room, but what truly kept her rooted in place was the uncertainty of what to do next. Tyler was conflicted. She knew that. She could feel it in the way he had reacted when her parents had suggested inviting his father to the mansion for Christmas. She could never fully understand Tyler's pain. She didn't know what it was like to feel torn between two worlds, to live with the weight of a father who rejected you for what you were. For what you couldn't change. Her own family had always accepted her for who she was, dark, strange, outcast, and yet loved. But she had seen the way Tyler's father had looked at him, the silent judgment, the fear. The man couldn't fathom his son being anything like them. "I don't know what to say," she thought, standing at the door. "I'm not good at this, at comforting someone. I've never been able to do it." Her cousin Adele's voice echoed in her mind, sometimes, Wednesday, you don't have to say anything at all. Just be there. That's enough. With a deep breath, Wednesday turned the doorknob, slowly entering the room. Tyler didn't look up as she approached, but his tense posture gave away his awareness of her presence. Without a word, she climbed into the bed beside him, her cold fingers gently finding their way around him, pulling him into an embrace. It wasn't the kind of comfort he would have expected, but in that moment, it was the only kind she knew how to give. Tyler tensed for a split second before recognizing the gesture for what it was. His heart eased a little, and he pulled her closer, not sure whether it was for his comfort or hers. The room was quiet, save for the soft crackling of the fire and the rhythmic sound of their breathing. The Hyde, for once, did not stir. He did not try to assert control over the situation, recognizing that this was not the time for his influence. It was as if even the Hyde understood that this moment, this peace, belonged to Tyler, not him. They lay together, neither of them speaking, until sleep eventually claimed them both. And for the first time in a long time, Tyler found himself feeling something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years, accepted. Not just by Wednesday's family, but by her as well. Despite the turmoil and the weight of the decision he faced, at least he wasn't alone in it. For tonight, that was enough. And as they both drifted off into a quiet, untroubled sleep, Tyler couldn't help but think that, maybe, just maybe, he could survive this strange, chaotic life he had found himself in, with Wednesday by his side. Like, comment and subscribe to be notified for updates in the series.